Salam, and welcome to Qur'an Masterclass. Today we continue our journey through Surah An-Nahl, the chapter of the bee. We're picking up from verse 51, diving into one of the most powerful sections of this chapter, covering the themes of divine provision, the call to gratitude, and the weight of accountability. Stay with us. This is a passage that speaks directly to the heart. Before we begin, let's ground ourselves. Surah An-Nahl was revealed in Mecca, at a time when the early Muslim community was under immense pressure. The verses we're exploring today, 51 through 83, form a cohesive unit. God is speaking to all of humanity, reminding us of His oneness, His generosity, and the consequences of turning away from truth. Let's open our hearts and minds. Verse 51 opens with a direct and uncompromising command. Do not take two gods. There is only one. This is not a suggestion. It is a declaration of the most fundamental truth in existence. God is one, and to Him alone belongs all reverence and awe. Everything else in creation, every blessing, every breath, flows from that single undivided source. Verse 52 expands on this. To God belongs everything in the heavens and the earth. Obedience is owed to Him alone, continuously and completely. The word used here implies a state of constant, unbroken devotion, not just in moments of prayer, but in every dimension of life. Will we then be mindful of anyone other than God? Here is a verse that should stop us in our tracks. Whatever blessing you have, it is from God. And yet, when hardship touches you, it is to Him that you cry out. This is a mirror held up to human nature. We enjoy the gifts without always acknowledging the giver. God is pointing this out, not to shame us, but to awaken us. Verse 54 continues the thought. When God removes your hardship, a group among you immediately turns back to associating others with their Lord. This is a pattern God describes with remarkable precision. Relief comes, gratitude fades, and old habits return. It is a warning and an invitation to be different, to be among those who remember. God now names this behavior plainly. It is a form of ingratitude, a denial of the blessings He has given. The verse warns that such people will soon come to know the consequences of their choices. This is not a threat spoken in anger. It is a statement of reality. Actions have weight. Choices have outcomes. God is giving us the full picture. Verse 56 describes a specific practice of the people of that time. They would set aside a portion of God's provision as offerings to things that had no power whatsoever. God asks, will they claim a share of what He has provided for things that cannot provide anything? By God, you will certainly be questioned about what you used to invent. This verse addresses a deeply troubling contradiction. Some people attributed daughters to God, while for themselves, they desired sons. This was not just a cultural preference, it was a theological distortion. They were projecting their own biases onto the divine. God exposes this inconsistency with clarity and precision. One of the most haunting verses in the Qur'an. When one of them is given the news of a daughter, his face darkens, and he is filled with grief. He hides from the people because of the shame he imagines. Shall he keep her in humiliation, or bury her in the ground? How evil is their judgment! God is condemning this practice in the strongest possible terms. Verse 59 closes this painful picture. The one who buries his daughter alive makes the worst of choices, driven by pride, by cultural shame, by a complete disconnection from mercy. God is not just describing a historical practice. He is establishing a principle. The value of a human life is not determined by gender, by status, or by the preferences of society. It is determined by God alone. After exposing human distortions, God reasserts His own perfection. To those who do not believe in the next life belongs the worst description, and to God belongs the highest description. He is the Almighty, the All-Wise. This is a powerful pivot, and from the ugliness of human arrogance to the absolute beauty and perfection of the divine. Verse 61 offers a profound reflection on divine patience. If God were to punish people immediately for their wrongdoing, He would not leave a single living creature on earth. But He gives them respite, a fixed term, and when their time comes, they cannot delay it by a single hour, nor can they bring it forward. God's patience is not weakness, it is mercy. The contradiction continues. They assign to God what they themselves dislike, and their tongues assert the lie that they will have the best outcome. Without doubt, they will have the fire, and they will be the first to be sent there. This verse is a sobering reminder. We cannot define God according to our preferences. He defines Himself. God now speaks to the prophet, offering reassurance. By God we sent messengers to communities before you, but the devil made their deeds seem beautiful to them. He is their master today, and they will have a painful punishment. This verse reminds us that the struggle against falsehood is ancient. Every prophet faced it, and every prophet was supported by God. Why was the Qur'an revealed? Verse 64 answers directly. It was sent to clarify for people the things they differ about, and as a guidance and mercy for those who believe. The Qur'an is not just a book of rules. It is a light that cuts through confusion, a mercy that reaches into the deepest questions of human existence. Now God shifts to the natural world, one of the most beautiful rhetorical moves in the Qur'an. God sends down rain from the sky and revives the earth after its death. And this is a sign for people who listen. The earth was dead. Rain fell. Life returned. This is not just ecology, it is theology. The same God who revives the earth can revive the heart. Verse 66 invites us to reflect on something we might take for granted. Milk. Between the digested food and the blood, God produces pure milk, easy to drink for those who consume it. This is a sign. Inside the body of an animal, through a process no human designed, something nourishing and pure emerges. Who arranged this? Only God. From the fruits of date palms and grapes, you take intoxicants and wholesome provision. And this is a sign for people who reason. God mentions both, the wholesome and the intoxicating, not to endorse both, but to draw our attention to the raw material He provides. What we do with provision is a matter of choice, and choice is a matter of accountability. And now, the verse that gives this chapter its name. Your Lord inspired the bee. Make your home in the mountains, the trees, and what people construct. The word used for inspiration here is the same word used for divine revelation. God speaks to the bee. He guides it. He programs into its nature a wisdom that humans are still studying today. Then eat from all the fruits, and follow the paths your Lord has made easy for you. From their bellies comes a drink of varying colors, in which there is healing for people. In this is a sign for people who reflect. Honey, produced by a creature smaller than a fingernail, contains properties that science continues to discover. God told us first. God created you, and then He will take you back in death. Some of you will be returned to the most feeble stage of old age, so that after having knowledge you know nothing. God is all-knowing, all-powerful. This verse is deeply humbling. The arc of human life, from helplessness to strength, and back to helplessness, is entirely in God's hands. God has favored some of you over others in provision. Those who have been favored do not hand over their provision to those under their authority so as to make them equal. Do they then deny God's favor? This verse challenges us. Inequality exists, but it is a test, not a permanent verdict. And denying that all provision comes from God is itself a form of ingratitude. God has given you spouses from among yourselves, And from your spouses he has given you children and grandchildren, and he has provided you with good things. Will they then believe in falsehood and deny God's favor? The family, the most intimate unit of human life, is itself a gift from God. Every child, every moment of connection, is a sign of divine generosity. And they worship instead of God things that have no power to provide them with anything from the heavens or the earth, and are themselves utterly incapable. This is the logical absurdity of turning away from God. You abandon the one who provides everything for things that can provide nothing. The contrast could not be more stark. So do not make comparisons with God. God knows, and you do not know. This short verse carries enormous weight. Human beings have a tendency to project, to imagine God in terms of what we know, what we prefer, what we fear. But God is beyond all comparison. Our knowledge is limited. His knowledge is absolute. Humility before God begins with acknowledging this. God now offers a parable. Consider a slave who is owned and has no power over anything, and a free person whom we have provided with good provision, who gives from it privately and openly. Are they equal? All praise belongs to God. But most of them do not know. The one who is free and generous represents the believer. The one who is powerless represents the idol. The comparison is devastating. Another parable. God presents two men, one who is mute, with no ability to do anything, a burden on his caretaker, and another who commands justice and is on a straight path. Are they equal? This is a parable for the idol versus God. One is silent, useless, dependent. The other speaks truth, guides and leads. There is no comparison. To God belongs the unseen of the heavens and the earth. The matter of the hour is only like the blink of an eye, or even quicker. God is over all things capable. The day of judgment is not distant in the way we imagine distance. For God, it is as close as a blink. This verse recalibrates our sense of time and urgency. God brought you out of your mother's wombs knowing nothing at all, and he gave you hearing, sight, and hearts, so that perhaps you would be grateful. We entered this world with nothing, no knowledge, no skill, no language. Everything we have was given. The senses we use to navigate life, the minds we use to think, all of it is a gift. Gratitude is the only fitting response. Do they not see the birds made subservient in the atmosphere of the sky? Nothing holds them up except God. In this are signs for people who believe. Look up. A bird weighing several pounds is suspended in the air, not by its own power, but by the laws God designed. Every flight of every bird is a testimony to divine precision and care. God has made your homes a place of rest for you, and he has made for you from the hides of animals, homes you find light when you travel and when you camp, and from their wool, fur, and hair, furnishings and enjoyment for a time. Even the concept of home, shelter, warmth, rest, is a divine gift. God thought of everything. He provided for every need. God has made for you shade from what he created, and has made for you shelters in the mountains, and has made for you garments to protect you from heat, and garments to protect you in battle. He completes his favor upon you so that perhaps you will submit. Layer by layer, God lists his gifts. Shade on a hot day, a mountain cave in a storm, armor in battle. Every protection is from him, but if they turn away, your only duty is to deliver the message clearly. The prophet is reminded, your responsibility is to convey, not to control. This is a profound principle. God does not force faith. He invites it. The messenger delivers the truth, and then the choice belongs to the one who hears it. This is the dignity God gives to human free will. They recognize God's favor, then they deny it. Most of them are ungrateful. This verse is perhaps the most piercing in this entire passage. They know. Deep down, they know. The blessings are undeniable. The signs are everywhere. But acknowledgement is withheld out of pride, habit, or fear of what gratitude might require. God sees this, and He names it. Let's pause and reflect on what we've just covered. From verse 51 to 83, God has laid out a comprehensive case. He has listed His gifts: rain, milk, honey, family, shelter, senses, life itself. He has shown us the absurdity of turning to anything other than Him, and He has named the human tendency to recognize blessings while withholding gratitude. This is the pattern He is asking us to break. One of the most striking features of this passage is how God uses the natural world as evidence. The rain, the bee, the bird in flight, the mountains as shelter. God is saying, look around you. Every direction you turn, there is a sign. The universe is not silent. It is speaking, constantly, of its creator. The question is whether we are listening. Let's return to the bee for a moment. God inspired it. It follows a path made easy for it. It produces something healing. And it does all of this without arrogance, without complaint, without forgetting its purpose. In many ways, the bee is a model for the believer, guided by God, purposeful in action, and producing something that benefits others. The Arabic word for gratitude, shukr, appears repeatedly in this passage, and it is paired again and again with the word for provision, rizq. God provides. The expected response is gratitude, but gratitude in the Qur'an is not just a feeling, it is an orientation. It is a way of seeing the world. It is recognizing that nothing you have is truly yours. It is all on loan from God. This passage also carries a thread of accountability running through it. The blessings are not just gifts, they are a trust, and trusts are returned. On the day of judgment we will be asked, what did you do with what you were given? Your hearing, your sight, your heart, your time, your wealth, your relationships. Every gift will be a question. God uses two powerful parables in this section, the slave versus the free person, and the mute versus the eloquent. Both parables make the same point. There is no comparison between God and anything else, between the one who gives everything and the things that give nothing, between the one who speaks truth and the things that are silent. The parables are simple. The truth they carry is profound. Verse 82 reminds us of the role of the prophet, and by extension, of everyone who carries a message of truth. The duty is to convey, clearly and completely, not to force, not to manipulate, not to despair when people turn away. The message is delivered. The choice belongs to the listener. This is a model of integrity that every teacher, every caller to good should carry. Verse 83 stays with me. They recognize the favor of God, then they deny it. This is not ignorance. This is something more complex, a knowing rejection. And it happens in our own lives too, in subtle ways. We know where our blessings come from. We know who to turn to in hardship. But in ease, we forget. In comfort, we drift. God is asking us to close that gap. Though these verses were revealed in a specific historical context, their message is universal and timeless. Every human being, in every era, in every culture, receives provision from God. Every human being has the capacity for gratitude or ingratitude. Every human being will return to God. The specifics change. The principles do not. Gratitude in the Qur'an is not passive. It is active. It means using your hearing to listen to truth, using your sight to recognize signs, using your heart to feel connection with God. It means sharing provision with others. It means acknowledging, openly and consistently, that everything good in your life has a source, and that source is God alone. Every warning in this passage is wrapped in mercy. God does not expose human ingratitude to humiliate. He exposes it to heal. He does not describe the consequences of turning away to frighten. He describes them to protect. The tone throughout is that of a creator who deeply wants his creation to return to him, to recognize him, to be at peace. The phrase, "in this is a sign for people who reflect," appears multiple times in this passage. God is not asking for blind acceptance. He is inviting reflection. He is saying, think about the rain, think about the bee, think about the bird, think about your own birth. If you reflect, truly reflect, the conclusion is inescapable. There is a God. He is one, and He is generous beyond measure. As we near the end of this session, let's bring this passage home. Verses 51 to 83 of Surah An-Nahl are a complete argument, from the oneness of God, through the evidence of His provision, to the call for gratitude and the warning against denial. It is an argument made not with abstract philosophy but with rain, and milk, and honey, and the flight of birds. God speaks to us through the world He made. This passage ends with a challenge and an invitation. Will you be among those who recognize the favor of God and give thanks, or among those who recognize it and turn away? The choice is yours. But know this: gratitude is not just good manners. It is the path back to God. It is the orientation that transforms an ordinary life into a life of meaning, connection, and peace. That brings us to the end of today's session on Surah An-Nahl, verses 51 to 83. May God make us among those who recognize His blessings, give thanks with our hearts, our tongues, and our actions, and return to Him in a state of gratitude and peace. If this video benefited you, please share it, leave a comment, and subscribe to Qur'an Masterclass. We'll see you in the next episode. Salam.